That was the national anthem. Wherever it's played, people are expected to stop in their tracks. It's frequently confused with Thailand's second anthem, which also brings public life to a standstill. But it's dedicated just to the king, one of the richest men in the world. On October the 13th, 2016, a world ended for millions of Thais. This film footage was taken minutes before the death of King Rama IX, the oldest male monarch in the world. At the time, people were praying for their king, whom they venerated far more than his successor. But nobody would talk about that publicly, because insulting the monarch is a crime that carries a sentence of up to 15 years in prison. Beloved, venerated, idolized. The mourning period for the dead king was set at 1 year. After 70 years on the throne, many people in Thailand feel that that's too short rather than too long. Public life is now back on track, except on the roads, of course. That's why, for our trip from the historic to the modern centre, we've chosen a mode of transport that's definitely congestion-free: the Klong boat. Over the past century, almost all of Bangkok's canals have been filled in to create room for roads. There are speedboats in regular operation on one of the few remaining waterways. When the water in the Klong festers after long dry periods, the stench from the canal rivals Venice at the height of summer. But never mind. A ride on a Klong boat is an experience nobody should miss. The trip on the canal is a trip along the city's future past. Properties are classed as premium locations in Bangkok if they can be reached by SkyTrain, by underground, or by one of the major arterial roads. That's not the case for the area around the canal. As a result, property prices are more reasonable here, and the pace of urban densification is slower too. When money speaks, the truth is silent. Entire neighborhoods in Bangkok often have to make way for new construction projects. Heritage buildings, town planning. They've heard of that here, but such things tend to get in the way of development. We're visiting an area that's so far been able to withstand the construction boom, at least in part, located by the Embassy Quarter. The starting point of our tour is Somerset Park, one of the few private but publicly accessible green spaces in the city. It's right on the attractive Suan Plu Road. To get going, we choose not to walk. Instead, we opt for a mode of transport whose characteristic engine noise gave it its onomatopoeic name.
Tuk-tuks are a symbol of Thailand. Most tourists have never taken a tuk-tuk before, and they want to try at least once. No wonder, it's fun and you sit in the cool breeze. In contrast to taxis, tuk-tuks don't have a meter. Prices are often too high. That's why it's best to get your hotel reception to organize a tuk-tuk and negotiate a good price for you in advance.
It's worth looking at the ground in Bangkok from time to time, because that's where one of the city's biggest problems becomes apparent. Bangkok is sinking. If you pull the plug in a bathtub full of water and styrofoam beads, they sink to the bottom. Something comparable's happening in Bangkok because vast quantities of drinking water are being depleted from the ground beneath the city. In the second half of the 20th century, the growing city sank by up to 1 metre per decade. If that had carried on at the same rate, parts of the city would already be below sea level. How can you tell by looking at the streets, which are often in perfect condition? Easy. While the houses and private plots are slowly losing height, the road level is regularly raised with a new layer of asphalt or concrete. This road here was recently resurfaced. Even in heavy rain, visitors hardly get wet feet in the covered food stalls of this side street off the Suan Plu. Unfortunately,